Hello everyone, I know I did a proper book haul a really short time ago. 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I don't recall it. But because it's near Christmas, I have checked that during October, November I did a little bit of a buying stuff, and I thought you may like to know what I actually bought. So even though I know I bought a lot comparing with the time that we are at the moment, so knowing that maybe for Christmas I will get more books, I want to show you the books that I actually acquired during October and November. Some of them are down there, but the majority I have them here, so maybe you see some kind of transition in kind of effects, so I can actually pick the ones that are actually there. The first one I'm going to mention is one fairly recent that actually was supposed to arrive in October, at the beginning of October, and that's why I show it to you in a book haul, which is the Price Guide to the Occult by Leslie Walton. If you want to know more about the book, I leave you the link to the unboxing that I did when I received it, so you will have more information there. I love the sparkly leaves. Again, if you want to know what it's about, I leave you the link to my unboxing video down below. Oh, of course, you don't know me. My name is Clara and I'm obviously in love with books. This is a channel where I talk about books, and as you can tell, even though English is not my first language, I do videos in English and in Spanish. This is a book haul in English, and we can continue on then. What else? Later, I went to my favorite bookshop of all time and I bought Los Cuentos que Nunca Nos Contaron by Miriam Sayalero and Danny Torrent. And I will try to translate it the best as I can, but I'm going to try to see if we have any kind of translation here. And if not, I will do my best with this. No, we don't have it. This is a short story collection centered around fairy tales, that it would be translated in English as, for example, the tales that we were never told of. And this is a translation made by me. Right now I have checked and this book is only in Spanish, but this is important because this is a collection of fairy tales where women are the ones that have the spotlight. They are the heroines, they are the princesses that serve themselves in these are the fighters. It's a little bit of a feminist take on the fairy tales, because this is not a retelling. I am calling it feminist take because this is a collection of fairy tales from several places in the planet where women are the main characters, women are the active characters, and these are fairy tales that were not collected or told before. They are not in the Grimm brothers fairy tale collections or in the Hans Christian Andersen collection. This is special. This is a proof that women actually are fighters as well as men. That's why I say it's a feminist take on the fairy tales, because it's placing the spotlight on them, on stories that were about them, about the girls. And this is important because this way girls feel more represented in fairy tales, not only as the passive character that needs to be saved or needs to make a sacrifice to be saved. No, and this is important for boys too, because I mean, it's cool to be the hero, but it's cooler if you have a companion that is equally to you in force and in action, in my opinion. This is a Spanish book, as I said. And then in my favorite place of the world, in my favorite bookshop of the world, which is in Madrid, I was recommended, as well as the fairy tale collection, I was recommended this. This is An Education by Clara. I'm going to check if that's the proper title because I don't have it. Okay, the original title is Educated, a memoir. And what I know about this is this is the story of the writer, or at least a novelization version of it. I don't know much about it, but as far as I was told, she was living with her family in a very kind of, I wouldn't say reclusive, but a strict way of living. And when she went out to go to university, she discovered that what she was told at home wasn't actually what happened in the real world. So I feel this is going to be a hard book to read, but a very important book about learning and the ability of learning and the ability of understanding several points of view and trying to live with the very, very pragmatist ideas, and what happens when you are liberated from those and you have to navigate through life and learn all the things that were kept from you for one reason or other. This is very vague, but that's basically what I know about it. So I hope I can learn more once I read it. I'm going to leave it here. Later on, I'm going to leave this here too. Later on, I continue doing my shopping and I found this book, which is Fools and Mortals, Spanish edition, by Bernard Cornwell. I haven't read any Cornwell books before, but I know he's an author specializing in kind of historical fiction, and I picked this up because it's set in Isabelithan theatre, Isabelithan London, where William Shakespeare is the best playwright that there is. And in this story is his brother, the one that takes the spotlight. So you see William Shakespeare under a different spotlight because he's not as nice as we all think. This is a historical fiction novel, so the majority of the details are fiction, but I love the idea of having this kind of little details about Elizabethan theatre and Elizabethan life. And there's a mystery as well regarding one of the most important plays of the bad. So I just bought it because I love William Shakespeare works, so I wanted to see a different take. And I hope I can read it in 2019 actually. Okay, then next to the one that I just mentioned, the historical book I just mentioned, I bought this chunky book over here that I will have to read again because I don't know the original title. But while I try to find it, I let you know that this book is a collection of short stories written by several authors of several different genres, and the stories are not tied by genre, they are kind of different from one to the other. And this is, oh, Rouge, of course. I hope I say it right. This is Rouges by, Rouge in plural, Rouges, edited by George R. R. Martin and Gardner Dos Sois. This is a short story collection centered around the figure of the Rouge, and it includes stories by Neil Gaiman, Joe Abercrombie, Gillian Flynn, Garth Nix. This short story collection appeared to me on a very kind of random day, but this is important to me because, for example, I always wanted to read Gillian Flynn or Scott Lynch, but I wasn't quite sure about the style, and sometimes I feel like short stories are easier to me. Like for that, when you don't know the author, is going to be of your liking, I always think that maybe short stories is the best option to start with. And I'm going to leave it here because it's very heavy. Later on, I went to a book fair in my city, in Madrid, in the capital of Spain, and I bought this beauty that I hope it sounds to you. And I need to check if you can actually see it. No, it's the foiling that is very nice. This is an English edition of The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. This belongs to the Penguin Classic Fitzgerald collection, and the beautiful foiled front cover that you can see here with the glitter and the gold is done by Coralie. I'm probably saying it wrong, so I have to check it again. This is done by the same illustrator that did the Clothbound Classic editions, but I also have a few of there in that bookcase. So this beautiful edition is actually done by the cover of the illustration of the cover, sorry, is actually done by just cover design and illustration done by Coralie Bigford Smith. I'm always the worst at pronouncing names, so I'm utterly sorry. But this is the most stunning edition of The Great Gatsby that I have ever seen. I actually own a Spanish mass paperback edition that it was great when I read it because I didn't have anything else. But I discovered this edition thanks to Instagram. Several Instagrammers centered around books had this book on display, and I love the foiling. And I love the kind of glitter and even the font of the cover. I think is stylish and is very centered around the Roaring 20s idea, and I love it. And I want to reread it basically because as I read it translated, I never had to focus or to force myself to read a book that was written during the Roaring 20s. I'm not very familiar with the vocabulary if it's not translated, and I really want to check that. I want to see how Fitzgerald wrote it and see if I can manage as well as I did in Spanish. I love the book, so I have a little bit of advantage that it is not my first read. Lastly, you have to give me a moment because the books that I have to show you now are a little bit heavier. This thing about doing booktube is a little bit like worse than going to the gym. The last two books I'm going to mention here are books that I bought during the Spanish National Bookshop Day, which was in the 16th of November, I believe. And I bought them in two independent bookstores that I really wanted to visit. One of them was a bookshop that I always wanted to visit because of its themed related books. Another good is it's a bookshop that is in the center of Madrid and is a feminist bookshop that has non-fiction books related to feminism and other topics, but also they have books, fictional books by women. It's very centered around women, and they also sell other kind of goodies such as little boxes or tote bags, all related to female important figures, either scientifics, writers of different fields. And I decided to buy my Spanish copy of A Little Stranger by Sarah Waters. I don't know much about this book other than it's a thriller or paranormal kind of book set in the late 19th century, and it's about a doctor that goes to a house that he used to visit when he was small. This house belongs to a family that is part of the kind of noble class of England. But when he arrives to the house, the house is basically falling apart, and it's also the time where the status of the noble class is not longer as important as it was before. So apparently the house has its own character, its own way of doing things, so you can feel the house kind of closing in this main character and the others. I bought this because Jane from Book and Quills recommended it, and she even interviewed one of my favorite actresses, who is actually the main female character in this adaptation, in this film adaptation of this book. And I just loved the interview, and I decided to give it a go. The last book I wanted to talk to you about is this huge classic, Russian classic, that I always wanted to pick up, but I never actually had the courage to. Now I don't have other choice. This is War and Peace, the Spanish version of War and Peace, in this beautiful hardcover heavy edition. Originally I started having interest with War and Peace from the Vintage Books YouTube channel, when they did these beautiful editions of the Russian classics. And I saw the paperback edition, the red paperback edition of War and Peace, and I read a little bit more about the plot and about what it was about. I fell in love with it, but my understanding of English, even though it's good, I wasn't quite confident enough to read this enormous classic in a different language to my own. So I decided to look for the best version I could ever find in Spanish, so I was able to understand. And I was asking through Twitter, and one bookseller recommended this version to me. So I went to my favorite place in the world, which is the bookshop called Nakama, that is also in the center of Madrid, and I talked with my booksellers, with my people of confidence, and they got this for me, and I love it. And it's one of the books I want to read this new year, so cross fingers. This is it. This is the end. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I really hope you can give me a hand and tell me which books should I read next. But I would love to hear your thoughts on the books that I mentioned in this video, and if you have read them, what did you love about them, or what would you highlight? And if you have any preference, I would love you to tell me which books should I pick up next from these ones, from the ones that I just showed to you. I hope you enjoyed this video, and you tell me everything in the comment section down below. Oh, and we will see each other next week, okay? Bye!